Hi, how's it going? I'm Sophie Robert, and I just want to give you a little insight about me. Last night I did a speech at Toastmasters, so I'm going to just do a brief replay of what my speech was like. It's called an icebreaker. So this is pretty much how my speech went. To find out more about me, you need to know where I come from and my roots. And when you go back to my parents, their parents both lived and came from Belgium. Actually, my great-grandfather worked for the King of Belgium. And then my grandfather was born there, and after he was born, they moved to Argentina, which is where my dad ended up growing up. But after college, he decided to go back to Belgium, where he met my mom. And they ended up moving here to Miami, Florida. So I was a first generation born for my family here in the United States. As I was growing up, my first language was French, and I was even held back one year in school because I spoke more French than I spoke English. Because at home, my parents and I always spoke in French. And then when I was a kid, my grandfather, he had came to visit us, and he always had a joke. I don't know if it was like a Belgium joke or if it was just a him joke, that, you know, people's nicknames were like their name, Sophie, and he called me Sufke. And so my parents had kind of like held on to that, and they always called me Sufke. And when I got into middle school, my friends would hear my parents call me Sufke, and so it started to catch on. And so all of my closest friends, they always called me that. So that was like one of the things that I knew, if you were really close to me, that's what you would call me. And then as I got even older after that, I had moved to Belgium for a couple months because I wanted to write a autobiography about the adventures of being raised in Miami and things to watch for your teenagers doing. But that was back in the 90s. And when I came back, I just really embraced my culture. I embraced that I loved drinking beer and I loved eating chocolate and cheese, and it just really made me see, because I lived in a basement by myself for 4 months, and while I was gone, my parents divorced. But it really made me get to know who I was. It really gave me good 4 months of just being alone, away from my friends, reflecting where my life was, and re-putting my goals into perspective. What happened was, when I returned from Belgium, I met a young gentleman, and not that long later, my daughter came into my life. And I went to the University of Miami, and I worked 2 photography jobs while I had a child for 4 years, and I worked pretty hard. I may have burned myself out some. And after that, I moved to North Carolina and with my husband, and that's when I became like Belgium trademark crazy. Like I was like, Sophie the Belgium girl, Sophie B for Belgium, and I would always wear red and black and yellow, which is still kind of true to this day. I even decorate my house sort of in that way. Like if you look at the front of my house, my door is red and I have yellow roses. And so it's just become who I am, is that I'm that Belgium girl. It made me always different, unique. I always had a more open mind. I was very understanding with people and compassionate. And a lot of my friends just saw me as that's how I was different, because their parents and them, they just saw things differently than I did. But I guess that was something that they admired, because a lot of people, they always compliment me for that. Another thing is that I never stopped smiling. When I got my braces off almost 24 years ago, I just started smiling all the time. And so that's something that people also know me as, is that like I just smile even if it's like the worst case scenario. I'm just like, it's just really weird and awkward and sometimes inappropriate, but that's just definitely something that I do. And if I'm not smiling, you probably don't really want to be around me. But that's me, that's Sophie. I'm also, I went to the University of Miami and I got my degree in photography. And then I did photography for many years, and then I chose to change careers and I went into business. And then I chose motherhood, and I chose life over wanting to work for other people. And I chose to be home, and I chose to enjoy my home and enjoy my kids and enjoy time freedom, and just to be able to make things happen, to be able to be home is amazing. And it's, of course, I don't understand why every woman wouldn't want to do it. I understand that women want to work, and to be able to work from home is awesome because I just get to blog about stuff that I love, and it's can't get better than that if you ask me. But anyways, I garden here at the house. I do a lot of house projects. I fix most of the stuff myself. My boyfriend's a general contractor, so I ask him for advice, but he's always out working. But I do a bunch of little projects, and I'll definitely share them with you. They're always ongoing. I don't do everything all at one time, but it's fun, and I have a great time, and I definitely can't complain. And I hope that now you know a little bit more about who Sophie Robert is.